Welcome back from the break. We just heard from student social entrepreneurs doing great things from across Canada. Now we're going to have a look closer to my home, Calgary. Today, I'm joining this virtual event from the University of Calgary, which is situated on land adjacent to where the Bow River meets the Elbow River. The traditional Blackfoot name of this place is Mohkinstsis, which we now call the city of Calgary. I'm honored and humbled to be a visitor on these lands and wish to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of the Treaty 7 region who are the original caretakers of these lands. The city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We have many attendees here from across Canada and beyond, so please share with us where you're joining from in the chat. My name is Rachelle Haddock, and I'm the Manager of Partnerships and Engagement at the Office of Sustainability at the University of Calgary. My work focuses on cultivating opportunities for students, staff, faculty, and community members to engage with sustainability and to work together to advance the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, 17 global goals that serve to realize peace and prosperity on our shared planet. One of the things I love about my work is collaborating with others, so I'm very pleased to be joining you all today. I will likely lead the session with many ideas for future partnership projects. On that note, feel free to reach out to me if you have any sustainability collaboration ideas. We have an action-packed session, but first some housekeeping. Remember to use hashtag POP2021 on social media if you're sharing snippets from the POP Summit. All the sessions today and tomorrow are being simultaneously translated en français, so please select that option if you would like. And now, please join me in watching the top 10 What's Next YYC finalist stories.
Okay, my Blackfoot name is Natuyingtsin. It means holy song. My white woman name is Diana Frost. I'm an Algonquin Métis and the CEO of Coloring It Forward, an Indigenous social enterprise based in Calgary. When I was in my 20s, my mother one day announced to me that we had Indigenous heritage. Unfortunately, she had been in residential school, so she couldn't teach me anything. I tried for years to learn about my culture, but had a really hard time because I didn't know anyone from the Algonquin Nation. I didn't feel connected because I didn't also appreciate all the wonderful things that we can learn from elders. This year, we've started finding thousands of remains of Indigenous children that died at residential schools all over Canada. We've seen strong interest from Indigenous and non-Indigenous people in making amends and working on reconciliation, but people seem to be struggling with how to do that. So we're here to help you with that. In 2016, I started Coloring It Forward, dedicated to helping people to reconnect with the beauty and wisdom of Indigenous culture. It started with a series of coloring books. They're filled with spectacular Indigenous art and teachings from the elders. We also expanded the product line to include wellness gift boxes, journals, notebooks, and more. And each product sold provides royalties to the artists and elders and a donation to an Indigenous social project. In the past 3 years, I've also sold over 40,000 products, including over 25,000 coloring books and thousands of orange shirts just like this one. Our products are being sold in over 200 stores across Canada, in the US and Europe through our online hubs and through a few small distributors. By voting for us, you'll be supporting the backbone of the Indigenous community, its artists and elders, as well as nonprofit organizations working to help our people heal and become strong. We need your help to continue our work. Miigwech.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Seixtro, and I'm the Manager of Operations and Business Development here at Stars Vigilant. I'd like to start by telling you a little story. Imagine your 20-year-old daughter just graduated from nursing school, and she landed her first job working at a local home care company. Her new job involves entering the homes of elderly patients who need a little bit of extra support to live independently. It's her dream job. She's young, she's passionate, and she is ready to deliver amazing care to some of society's most vulnerable. But she's also inexperienced. And so when the elderly Alzheimer's patient that she's cared for the last couple of weeks unexpectedly lashes out physically, she suddenly finds herself alone and in a very dangerous situation. She doesn't feel prepared to deal with the aggression and is uncertain about how to proceed. He's much bigger than she is, and he is not the same man that she saw just last week. He's very confused, and he's angry, and he's dangerous. She's scared, and she has no way to call for help. Sadly, this story is very common. Stars Vigilant wants to help all organizations who have a workforce that frequently works alone in high-risk situations or in remote locations, ensure that their most valuable assets have a lifeline when the unexpected occurs. Stars Vigilant was born out of a need identified by the energy sector, and we want to expand our services beyond Western Canada, beyond energy, to serve all Canadians. If STARS is the successful recipient, this funding will allow us to improve the technology that we need to monitor and respond to remote work sites and lone worker emergencies. The fees collected via STARS Vigilant Services ensures that STARS Air Ambulance can continue to fund its 6 bases across the prairies, averaging 8 life-saving missions every day. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce you to STARS Vigilant. Have a great day.
Hi, my name is Robin, and I'm the founder of NYSER. 2 years ago, I read an article about how Warren Buffett auctioned a lunch for charity, and the winning bid was over $4.5 million. Why only Buffett was the question I asked myself. An attempt to crowdsource expertise, combined with my passion to use technology to positively impact people and communities, led me to found NYSER. At the time of launch, NYSER helped people connect with industry experts and leaders by donating to charities of experts' choice. Although the model worked for experts and the charities, and we were making revenue, it was creating barriers for people who could not afford to donate. NYSER set out to break barriers, not create them. So we transformed into a free community mentorship platform focused on helping people from underrepresented groups, such as women, Indigenous folks, newcomers to Canada, and so on. It was a testing time for us, as we had to forego existing revenues to stay true to our values. But it also made us more resourceful and creative. As a result, we talked to multiple nonprofits, colleges, universities, and companies. And now we have identified our next growth frontier. We are now developing a technology product to help purpose-driven organizations launch and power their own community connection programs. We are very excited about what we are building, and we are already talking to a few organizations interested in using our product. But we cannot do it on our own. Your investment will help us with final stages of product development, which will then help us serve more organizations and help them transform the communities they serve. At NYSER, we say that 30 minutes of your time can help change someone's life. Thank you for giving me 2 minutes of yours.
What motivates you? Hi, my name is Abed, and I'm CEO of RetinaLogik, and this is my story. Growing up, I always wanted to be a cardiologist to help people, but back home, it wasn't possible with the money we had. Growing in a developing country, I was always passionate about reducing the barriers to healthcare because I faced so many. When I realized we couldn't afford cardiology, I picked myself up and applied for computer science. I realized that if I could learn more about the technology, maybe I could improve the process. It turns out I loved computer science. I finished in 3 years at the top of my class, but I knew I needed more. So I applied for my master's degree at the University of Calgary. The transition wasn't easy. I knew Canada was cold, but wow. In my master's, I went on a research trip to Uganda. I was so frustrated to see the same challenges I faced back home. Treatable conditions still progress because people can't travel, let alone afford to get the diagnosis and treatment. One day, I went to the optometrist here and found out that my entire life I was wearing the wrong prescription eyeglasses. Back home, my optometrists did their best with the equipment and training they had. I came back from my appointment more motivated than I'd ever been. This inspired me to do my PhD in the field of ophthalmology. Through my PhD, I was shocked to learn that billions go blind from conditions that can be prevented with early detection and treatment. The problem is, so many people can't walk to or afford an eye exam, and even then, they still miss conditions. So I found a way to make eye exams cheaper, portable, and smarter. Our technology enables eye exam on portable virtual reality headset. It costs 94% less, enables telemedicine exams, and can use machine learning to detect conditions sooner. So what motivates me? that our solution could prevent vision loss for millions, and with your support, we can reach them sooner. Thank you.
At Fresh Fruits, we have the simple belief that access to healthy and affordable food is a basic human right. However, so many communities across Alberta are struggling with basic food access. Marginalized communities are being burdened with growing health epidemics because of an unjust food system. Hi everyone, my name is Lourdes and I'm a founder at Fresh Fruits. We operate affordable mobile markets that work in partnership with urban and Indigenous communities, co-creating each market to best fit their needs. How can we expect Albertans to eat more vegetables when a cucumber is more expensive than a donut or requires a 40-minute drive? Because of the mobile markets, one of our customers is now able to buy carrots, zucchini, and turnips and make a bison stew for her entire family for less than $6. Our work is guided by a growing body of research that demonstrates by making the healthy choice the easy choice, people consume more fruits and vegetables, reducing the risk of chronic disease. Our emphasis is on dignified food access. To us, this means affordability. Our prices are 45% lower. Convenience, we bring culturally appropriate options and we do not ask for proof of income. To date, our markets have served over 141,000 servings of fruits and vegetables. That's over 96,000 pounds of fresh produce in 1 year. We even transformed a decommissioned City of Calgary transit bus, which is Alberta's first mobile grocery store. So we're able to operate rain or shine. Working together is what Fresh Fruits believes in. We provide our community with a service that most importantly, they believe in. Today, we ask you to believe that Fresh Fruits has an impact worth investing in, accelerating our mobile markets and forming more partnerships. Healthy food access is about investing in the people and places that have been left behind for a more food equitable future. We're just getting started. Imagine what we could do with your help. Thank you.
I'm Dustin. And this is Connor. We're the founders of Local Laundry, Garments for Social Good. Local Laundry was founded in 2015 as a way to build community and to give back to the community in a positive way. We saw clothing as a way for Calgarians to express their values and show support for their own community. From the onset, we had a goal of donating over 10% of profits to local charities, which we've far surpassed. Since inception, we've raised over $100,000 for local charities with a goal of donating $1 million by 2030.
But how do you make a positive impact on the community as a clothing brand when the fashion industry accounts for 10% of all global carbon emissions? Great question. You bring it local, and that's exactly what we did. While Bangladesh may allow 22,000 liters of toxic waste to be dumped into their rivers every day, Canada has very strict environmental and labor laws that ensure the safety and protection of the environment and the workers. So by removing overseas shipping of finished goods, we've eliminated the equivalent to 2,500 pounds of coal emissions. By investing in quality Canadian manufacturing, we're aiming to bring down the 37 kilograms of textile waste per person that ends up in our landfills every year. Now, that's an estimated 49 million kilograms of potential textile waste in Calgary's landfills.
So by producing quality goods that are built to last years rather than months, we can cut down on clothing waste while doing better for the environment and our community. The exciting part is that we're just getting started. There are so many more issues that we need to address in order to further our impact. However, we have started to explore new innovative fabrics like this toque. This year, our toques are made from over 20,000 recycled pop bottles rather than a virgin polyester, something organizations are taking interest in. In fact, this past 2 years, we've grown our customer B2B business by over 500%. As companies face pressure to reduce their own environmental impact, we are able to offer a unique local solution that reduces their carbon emissions while giving back to the local community. We are Local Laundry, and we're Canadian-made garments for social good.
Childcare is not a luxury, it's a necessity. I'm Erica Hughes, the president and CEO at CareFind. Access to early learning and childcare is a universal issue across Canada. There are over 9.3 million families in Canada and 46% use childcare. 1 in 10 parents have changed their work schedule, while 16,000 women have left the workforce completely due to access to childcare. Now, this resonates with me as a single mother. I created CareFind out of the necessity of eating childcare for my twin boys. I struggled searching for immediate reliable childcare for an interview. I called family, friends, and numerous daycares, which was time consuming. I was waitlisted and could not find 2 spots for 1 day. In the end, I missed the opportunity as I could not find childcare on short notice. This is a challenge many parents face. Childcare is an essential backbone in our economy, and without access to childcare, parents cannot fully participate in our economy, and women are disproportionately affected. It is our mission to connect parents with childcare providers. We create a space where families can easily easily find their ideal childcare solution, and providers can easily find families searching for childcare. CareFind allows parents to connect with licensed daycares, preschools, out-of-school care, and approved day homes and more, all in one place. And for childcare providers, it's a unique marketing opportunity for them to fill their spots, spread awareness about their unique programs and services with images and more. We're building a community of childcare that families can depend on. This year, 18.2 thousand families have accessed our website across Alberta. Removing barriers to accessing childcare relieves single parents, especially women, that contribute to the greater gender equality and drive economic growth. So for every dollar spent on early childhood education and care, the economy receives $1.50 to $2.80. So let's continue to give the most precious resource, our children, the best start in life, and parents the opportunities to work and grow as they continue to reach their economic full potential. Thank you.
Nearly half of Canadian farmers need a second job to cover the costs of production. And year after year, the number of small-scale family farms has been in reduction. These facts make me mad because one of the men needing a second job to feed our world was my dad. And it makes me mad because he had 2 jobs to make food happen. And yet 58% of what did happen became lost or wasted. 58% of our food, Canada, can you taste it? And it makes me sad because with this waste in our rich country, 1 in 8 households still goes hungry. And it makes me mad because the solution is to grow more. That's the way. It makes me mad. Food production today, more tech, larger scale, use AI, but don't fix processing and distribution. It's not worth a goddamn try. Agriculture is not ruining the world solely because of a cow's burp and fart. Start looking at food packaging, food waste, import, export, transport emission at the problem's heart. It's been proven food upcycling and local production from farm to table can have a huge impact on what keeps this climate stable. So it makes me glad at aGRO we are taking waste from the production of food and beer, and with it, we are making feed for mama cow and steer. It makes me glad it becomes affordable quality to lower a farm feed expense. It makes me glad it also lowers methane production in cows by up to 20%. It makes me glad 33 firms have zero waste now being tossed. It makes me glad 12 million pounds of byproduct is no longer lost. It makes me glad 7 family farms have joined our fight. It makes me glad you're here to continue to do what's right.
Hi, everybody. My name's Sean Crump. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Included by Design. We have been doing some amazing work throughout the pandemic and have had a singular focus on making sure more people come out of isolation than went in because of the restrictions. The pandemic has shined an irrefutable light on the impact and detriment isolation has on people's mental health and well-being. Unfortunately, this isn't new for people living with disabilities. This is something we as a community have been struggling with for decades. And today is the day that we believe we can end that barrier. We are thrilled to announce our new platform, Crucial. This platform provides a unique opportunity for individuals to identify venues that can meet their needs. We look at supporting restaurants because we believe that this is an industry that has been able to show agility, resilience, and strength throughout this pandemic, having to overcome insurmountable challenges, much like the community we're representing. Imagine if you had a new space open in your area and you wanted to go check out the restaurant, but unfortunately they can't serve you because of a unique characteristic. Or imagine you arrive only to find out there's a barrier preventing you from getting in. These are the things we're looking to change. And by ensuring people can confidently identify spaces and engage with those spaces through bookings, through registering for events and identifying additional needs they may have, we believe that starts shrinking the gap and creating confidence for people to start feeling like they belong and engaging with the communities that they are a part of or so badly want to become a part of. With the money we will receive today, should we be selected as one of the recipients, we'll be able to offer complimentary assessments to these businesses that are still struggling because of lockdown restrictions. This will allow us to make sure that not only can we offer an assessment, but ensure we maximize the number of spaces identified on the platform when it launches. Have a great evening, and thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm a master's prepared registered nurse with over a decade of experience working in healthcare, and I'm an enabler. As a registered nurse at the Children's Hospital, I often see families coming into the emergency department asking the same question: where can they find support at home? Globally, there are 500 million people that need daily caregiving support, and 250,000 of those people live in Alberta. Did you know that families who have a member with disability are more likely to experience poorer health? And this is not because of their disability, but because they can't find the care that they need. Did you know that the divorce rate for parents of a child with disability is 86%? Caregiving is hard, and parents deserve a break. And let's be honest, kids deserve a break from their parents too. But there are safer ways to find a support worker than posting an ad on Kijiji. Enable answers this call to action, providing families with support when and where they need it. By matching families experiencing disability to reliable, vetted support workers, families gain access to much needed on-demand care. With the right support at the right time, families stay healthy and stay together. But it's not just families that benefit. Most of our support workers are post-secondary students looking for practical, hands-on experience that looks great on a resume. They get paid to have fun, and our caregiving students are the perfect peer mentors and role models for our clients. Enable support workers have provided over 15,000 hours of support to families with disability in Calgary. With your vote, we can enable more families, and you can become an enabler too.
Okay, I'm wondering if my video can be enabled, and I'll come back on. Just speak, Rachelle. Wonderful, there we go. Thank you so much. Wow, I don't know about you, but I was blown away by the stories, and I can only imagine how much work went into preparing those 2 minutes. So congratulations to everyone. As in the previous session, all attendees are also investors through the Audience Choice Award, what we like to call the Popular Choice Award. This means the audience will get to choose who wins $25,000. A poll will appear on the screen, and you will have 1 minute, just 1 minute, that's tough, to vote for your choice before the poll closes. So if we're ready, could we please launch the poll? Okay, 10 seconds remaining in the poll. Okay, well, that is a wrap. Wow, this is so exciting. I really cannot wait to hear who will receive the Popular Choice Award. While we're waiting for the results, let's get started with the panel. You've already met them in their videos, so once again, here are Dustin Paisley, Local Laundry, Erica Hughes, CareFind, Nicole Seixtro, Stars, Diana Frost, Coloring It Forward, Sean Crump, Included by Design, Abdullah Sarhan, RetinaLogik, Robin Daltani, Nicer, Sue Crawford, Enable, and Lourdes Wan, Fresh Roots. I just felt like I was announcing the nominees for an Oscar there. This session will be moderated by Jordana Armstrong. I've collaborated with Jordana for some time now and have always enjoyed her ideas, energy, and perspectives. Jordana is the Associate Director, Clinical and Social Innovation at Innovate Calgary, and she sits on the Alberta Social Economy Ecosystem Development Steering Committee. Before I turn over the mic to Jordana, please remember that this session is meant to be interactive. So use the chat to share your thoughts and comments, and the Q&A feature to submit questions to the panel, which can be upvoted by other members of the audience. Now to you, Jordana.
Thanks, Rachelle. Wow, what a group. I am both humbled and very excited to participate in this conversation today. Fantastic group of founders. And if everyone in this room, this virtual room, achieved their goals, imagine how the world might change. So as Rachelle said, Jordana Armstrong, I've been working with social entrepreneurs for over a decade, spearhead the social innovation group at Innovate Calgary and including the Social Impact Fund. Have a lot of familiarity with folks that are presenting today and pleasure to meet those of you who I have not yet met. So framing for the audience, just as a reminder, we're hoping for this to be conversational, and we really want to foster some key learnings for other entrepreneurs in the room. So including yourselves in the audience, but also fostering learning between the panelists themselves. So I'm going to focus some of my questions, trying to pull out some of those how-to insights, but please direct any questions that you might have either to specific panelists, or if you have a general question, I can kind of figure out who might answer that, or have some of the panelists come off mic and answer as they'd like. So audience, tell us, what are your burning questions? What challenges are you grappling with to get to the next level of your own journey? And then I just want to shout out to Victoria Ross with aGRO Systems, who's also with us here today. So I'm not seeing any questions yet, so I'll kick us off while folks noodle. I'm going to direct my first question to Lourdes. Lourdes, with the benefit of experience, what would you change when you first started out? Perhaps one of those obvious after you learn it, not so obvious before moments.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Hi, Jordana. Hi, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here today. You know, I think I really enjoy and I really love building teams. And I think that, you know, one of the things that I would not only, you know, change, but also, you know, keep my pulse on is making sure that we have the right team at the table, where our values are aligned, where everyone understands not only social innovation and how to think outside the box, but kind of always having servant leadership top of mind, particularly when we're working with food access for marginalized and vulnerable communities.
Thanks, Lourdes. So while I allow the audience questions to trickle in, I'm going to pick up on what you just said, and I'm going to actually invite one of the panelists to come off mute and maybe answer it. So I'm not directing it, and whoever feels most compelled, but just building on that. So we've all heard this idea of culture eats strategy for breakfast, if that's the saying. It's a bit of a strange saying, but nice to follow with fresh roots in that comment there, Lourdes. So how do you think about building a strong culture, and maybe what has worked best for you folks, and what might still be challenging in that?
I think for like us at aGRO, for like the culture, it's kind of we're a family business, right? So I think just knowing farmers in our field who have all experienced problems just trying to like be financially stable, and then also getting to know like our neighbors, but also getting to know our customers who are in the same boat. So I think our culture has really developed just in terms of not only like the participants in our employee workforce that we want to come be with us, but also like the customers are in love with the mission and the vision of the company as well. And I think that's really important, is to be able to like communicate it to not only your team, but also your customer groups, and understand like, why are we all in this together? Because like at aGRO, we don't do well unless the breweries are doing well that we work with, and we don't do well unless we can like have the farmers there as well. So we're all very interconnected, and if one of us isn't doing well, like none of us are doing well.
Thanks, Victoria. Nicole, did you want to add to that?
I did. I'll just lower my hand here. Perfect. So one of the things that I think is really unique that we've done here at STARS and STARS Vigilant is we have the opportunity to really hear some of the VIP stories. So to find some of our very important patients or our very important clients where we know that we've had a significant impact on their lives. And we've really partnered with them to make sure that we can share their story. And so it doesn't matter if you're working in the Emergency Communications Center, if you're working in marketing and communications, if you're in engineering, you feel really connected to the STARS mission. And I truly believe that that is why we have such a strong culture and why we continue to focus on the culture, is making sure that everyone feels tied to the mission and can really tie back what they do every day to how they're impacting people's lives. So it's why I'm here.
Thanks, Nicole. And Lourdes, did you want to make a comment on that before we go on to the next question?
No, I'll let someone else jump in. Someone put me as a spotlight, which is very nice, but unpin me.
Unpin me, please. All right, so we have a question from the audience for Sean from Included by Design. First comment, I love that you're starting with restaurants, as YYC has a great restaurant community, agreed. Question, as the pandemic lifts and we return to in-office work, do you see a future where the workplace will be able to offer clear and accurate accessibility needs information?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Johnny. Absolutely. I think it's all about transparency to start. Canada's lagging in the built environment as it comes to barrier-free design standards. But by creating that transparency, people can kind of self-identify as to whether or not a space can meet their needs appropriately, and how that would then impact their day-to-day job. I think we'll see more flexible work environments as well, where people will have a little bit more flexibility. So the structured time to be, through the front door at an office and then, clock out at 5 o'clock. I think that's we've moved beyond that now. So having that flexibility in the work environment as well will accommodate a far vaster set of needs, not just for the disability community, but for single mothers or single parents, for a lot of different groups of individuals, so that they can also, excel and thrive in working. So I think the built environment will come a long way, but it really is around that DE&I capability of businesses to supplement those structural environments, making it inclusive in the way it feels and kind of operates.
Wonderful, thanks, Sean. So that kind of sparks a question in me, and I'm gonna again throw it out to the group, and feel free to raise your hand. Sometimes when we think about social enterprise, sometimes we talk about a tension between business and mission objectives. And I want to hear from maybe one or two folks, is that really true for you? And then if so, when you think about balancing vision, mission, and sort of your business objectives, like how do you work through that? How do you keep focused on the main priorities?
Is it okay to go? Yeah.
Yeah.
For us personally, I don't feel like we have any issue with balancing the social side of the company and the objective to be profitable and everything like that. I think a huge misconception with people is that there is going to be some tension. And I think what you have to do as an organization, you have to ensure that you're striving for, or that you've already created inherently good operations. Like the operations themselves are not causing another problem. Like even if you take the Tom shoes example, like he was creating shoes that people could buy in North America, and then he was giving away a pair in developing countries. And it's just like, that became a huge problem for displacing the local economy in those developing countries, because the shoemakers didn't have a job because they were giving away shoes, and then it became the expectation that they'd have these shoes. So I think as long as businesses, when they're creating the foundation as a social enterprise, and they focus on how you need to make sure everything that you're doing is inherently good. Like with the aGRO, we had to make sure we're collecting wastes and byproducts and stopping it from going to a landfill or being underutilized as a compost. But we're also creating emissions when we're driving around and picking things up. So like we did a carbon audit this year just to make sure we're not producing more carbon than we're offsetting. Otherwise, what's the point of even existing? So I think that's what everybody needs to take into consideration. And it's just like everything for us, we try to source sustainably. Like even the containers that we use to pick the grain, like, are those containers ethically made? Like, where is it from? I actually reached out to local laundry too, because we've been really trying to find like swag for our team and uniforms for our team that are actually like ethically made. And so it's just like every little detail, just trying to find it. I know it's really hard and it can be expensive to be more like that, but as long as you're like developing and reaching out for it.
I love that, Victoria. And it sort of, I think it harkens back to the thought around culture. I know that when we're looking for investments with the seed fund, we're trying to think about sort of how are you embedding impact in everything that you're doing, not just in your product and service, though that's incredibly important, but also your operations, your governance, how as an entrepreneur, you're kind of threading that. And then you're right, there is a balance because you know, as in a startup context as well, there's only so much time. Because you kind of teed it up, I am going to direct the $1 million question over to our friend who is a recovering banker, Dustin. So Dustin, no pun intended on $1 million question, but let's talk about cash flow. What approaches have you learned that have served you well in managing your cash flow, and any big no-nos that you stumbled upon kind of earlier in your journey?
Yeah, really good question. And thank you, Victoria, for raising that point, because I think that's something that we're starting to notice a lot more as well, as companies are starting to look at their whole supply chain and the whole impact that every part of their business is having. And that's certainly something that we've done as well. If I can share kind of, before I get to the cash flow issue, a little bit about kind of just how we started and why I think it's so important to ingrain that social good in your business. If it is a business, right, to ingrain that social good from the very onset, because it's very easy to lose sight of that. And when we first started, right, we would get a box of sweaters that would say YYC and it was all about being proud Calgarian, but they would come from Pakistan, they would come from China, and we had no idea what that supply chain looked like. And the more we learned about the fashion industry, the more we learned that that was just completely unacceptable because it was doing so much harm. So it was a lot of naivety. And I think that's probably the case for a lot of business owners. There's a lot of naivety when it comes to cash flow and where to invest that and how to properly make sure you're staying on top of that and managing that. So short answer is a few things that we've learned is to really make sure that you're budgeting, you're creating a bit of a cash flow system, which we've tried our best to do. And when you do have a good component, to make sure that you're actually accounting for that as well. We do a lot of charitable campaigns throughout the year. We've raised over $100,000 for local charities. And when you're a bootstrapped, no outside investment, no outside debt company that's growing organically, every dollar matters. So making sure that you're allocating each dollar that you are raising and allocating towards charities, to block that aside, to make sure that, hey, I've got this inventory order coming in. Let's make sure we're not going to spend that because that has to go away and that's earmarked for something else. So it's almost like bucket budgeting, going back to the envelope method, but making sure that you have those pieces in place for every single allocation that's required.
Thank you. And glad that you are now a recovering banker. Welcome back to the social entrepreneurship ecosystem. So Nicole had a question for you, Dustin, related to increase in demand as a result of supply chain shortages related to the pandemic, but I'm going to kind of reframe it and then perhaps open it up to folks, and then we can return back to that. So I think this morning we talked a lot about COVID and the impact to businesses. And I think sometimes we think about that in a negative lens. I'm just wondering, is anyone on the panel experiencing kind of surprising positive benefits as a result of COVID?
Yeah, really good question. So one benefit, I guess, is that, we are a little bit insulated. We're not relying on cargo ship containers full of product that are stuck in ports. We are manufacturing all of our product in country, so we can get a pretty good access to that. I'd say primarily the challenges that Canada's seeing with the supply chain right now comes down to labor. We're still seeing major delays in certain manufacturing parts within our business, whether that's toques, hats, hoodies, everything is delayed, and it's twofold, right? You have the labor shortages, but on a positive side, you do have a very large increase in demand. And I think some of that may come from the supply chain. People are realizing that, overseas is taking a very long time and it's actually unethical. But I think a lot of people are really wanting to support local. And so we are seeing a huge uptick and a huge demand in Canadian manufacturing. And so that's something I'm really happy to see, and that's trending in the right direction.
And I might is there any other panelist that wants to build on that?
I'll build on it a little bit. I would say, from COVID, one of the surprising benefits that we've seen in the food sector is that there's more people working together. I know that I've chatted with Victoria and Dustin probably more during COVID than prior to. And so we've always operated on this notion that, we're not just 10 people sitting around the table trying to solve all the world's food system ails, but that we need all stakeholders involved. And that's not just people from the food system, that's social workers. And to answer the question that's in the chat for me around that, just because it's related, we work with both urban and Indigenous communities, and we work on a model that's co-created. And so that means that everything from deciding what's sold at the markets at Fresh Roots to the actual marketing of it to that specific demographic, that's being co-created with social workers, with nutritionists, and trying to figure out what works best for that community. And then on the competition question, we're 24 to 46% lower than regular grocery stores. So we're way more affordable. We pop up in food deserts or in areas that people just don't have that access to healthy food. And that is all in partnership with some of the people around this virtual table and stakeholders across Alberta.
Thank you, Lourdes. And I apologize for any of the panelists whose hands I have missed because I was in the wrong view mode. But Abdullah, do you want to add?
Yeah, definitely. So something actually turned a little bit positive or helped our technology, I would say, in the field when COVID hits, I would say, is because now you could do virtual exams at your home. You don't need now to go to a clinic and go to an ophthalmologist or optometrist to do your visual field exam. What we find is even with the feedback we've received from NGOs, from local communities, that would be helpful for door-to-door screening or helping in the field of telemedicine. And we find very great acceptance for such technology. Even now more. We started this 2 years ago, and now we're seeing more and more attraction towards such technology and being utilized in the field of telemedicine as well.
Wonderful. And because we've had so many bad news stories around COVID, I'm going to keep the good news story train going and then just wrap this question up with Diana and Erica.
Okay, did you want me to
yeah,
start then? Okay, yes. So I've had a lot of positive things come out of COVID. The first thing was all the different programs that have been made available to me to help me with my digital offering online to help improve everything from my website to my marketing to my branding. And most of it was for free. The best one that I can think of off the top of my head is the program offered by AWE, Alberta Women Entrepreneurs, called the Bold Digital, Learning. I don't remember the full name of it, but they suggested to do a subscription, to develop a subscription. And I decided that because people were struggling so much with COVID, that we would develop an Indigenous wellness box. And we would do it in collaboration with other Indigenous women entrepreneurs. And so we're now on our 4th box, and they're sold out way before December solstice even close. Yeah, so we're doing them 4 times a year. And the collaborations have been terrific because we're helping each other to reach different markets that we never would reach. And so I love the collaborations. That's one thing. Someone else mentioned that. I don't want to steal anyone else's thunder, but for us, that's been great, working with lots of Indigenous artists and elders and different entrepreneurs on things like that. And then the last thing that's developed is we have received more willingness by elders to do consultations online. And so now we're offering our first ever elder consultation on smudging this coming Monday, and it's free. This one, Next one will be by donation. So I'm pretty excited about that because we're all about helping people to learn about Indigenous culture and spirituality and artwork. And any way we can do that, we're happy. So
that's awesome. And feel free to pop that in the chat. I'm sure folks will be really interested. And then Erica.
Right, yeah, so during the beginning stages of the pandemic during 2020, we faced many challenges, but this year we felt things have turned around for us. And I'll touch upon some of the challenges that we faced. At the beginning, we provide a subscription basis for licensed childcare providers. And, there was a lot of uncertainty, the financial constraints for many of the businesses out there. And so we had a substantial decline in the amount of licensed childcare providers that would utilize our site. And then at that time too, the provincial government, they mandated, a lot of the closure of businesses, but on the flip side of things, we have always offered a free service to families utilizing our services. And we found that a lot of essential care workers started to call us saying, hey, where do we find childcare? So instead of shutting things down, what we did is we became more of a resource to those families. So we were able to, locate those designated childcare spaces that were opened for essential care workers. And we worked with those families and we were able to provide them with those connections, right, for shift care workers and whatnot. So, that was the positive aspect of it. And, this year things have really brightened up, right? We see a lot more families utilizing the virtual space. So things have been on the up and up for us. More childcare providers are actually subscribing. So yeah, we're seeing that flip side this year, and we're being very optimistic, and we look forward to the upcoming year. Thank you.
Awesome, Erica. Thanks for that. So I want to take us back to the beginning of folks' journeys, just because we'll have different levels of experience in the room. So part of the purpose of this conversation, we really want to get into kind of the weeds on the insights and how-tos that you've learned over the years. But for folks who are at the very beginning of their journey, so I think we met maybe at the beginning of your journey, so I might direct this question to you. But what pushed you over the edge to get started? Maybe who or what helped you along that journey to understand was really worth investing your time? And I don't know if I'm frozen or Sue's frozen. And I think it might be Sue, so I might just direct that to someone else. Big question. So starting a company, investing your time in this, it's a big decision to make that, and so it's big to make that decision, is what I meant to say. Diana, maybe you. How did you know that this was right? How did you know this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I had some guidance because I had a dream, a pretty powerful dream back in 2016 in the spring. And I woke up and I never remember my dreams. So I was stunned. And I had this dream that told me I was going to make a series of coloring books with elders and artists. And this was right in the middle of the adult coloring book craze. You guys all remember that, where you could buy a coloring book in a freaking gas station, which is weird, right? But anyways, so I thought that was a really good idea. And I started it while I was still working as an engineer, because I was pretty scared to jump off the cliff into entrepreneurship when I'd never had a business of my own, and no one in my family does either. So I didn't know anything. But every time I talked to people about it, they would say, oh yeah, you got to do this. This is a good idea. Teaching people about Indigenous values and giving them a book where they can read some of the good stuff and learn some of the beautiful things about Indigenous culture at a time when all the news was bad. So for me, all the feedback I got, well, that's one thing I would say is, if you're worrying about people copying your idea, I wouldn't worry too much about that, because it takes a lot of effort to start an idea. And so if I were you, ask people what they think about your idea if you're worried, and then just really listen, take it in, and then you got to follow your gut a little bit. Yeah, so that's what I did. And that's how I got started. I followed my gut. I used my RSPs. Shh. Dustin didn't hear me, right?
Love that.
And I took a risk. I printed 2,500 books, Blackfoot coloring books, and they sold in 6 weeks. So it's also important for you to look at what you're investing in when you start it up. Like I actually hired a PR person, and I think she's one of the reasons why my little business took off pretty well at the beginning. Like that was a big risk too, right? Because it was like 3 or 4 grand or something. Like that was a lot of money. But that was my story. That's how I decided.
I love that, Diana. And I just want to hammer that point home around just getting feedback early. People, it's hard for someone to steal your idea. It's like, could happen. But really that early feedback is super important. Sue, pass it over to you. And then I want to do kind of rapid fire in the 4 minutes that we're closing here. So everyone will have a chance to kind of wrap up.
Yeah, so I guess from my side is that it has been really obvious along my journey that this was the right direction to go to. So partly because of all my work in the disability community, I just worked with hundreds of families over the years that all of them were kind of leading me in the same direction or giving the same feedback. And then, of course, kind of from a professional aspect, my work as a registered nurse in psychiatry in the emergency department, I would see what would happen to the families down the road when they didn't get the support that they needed in the community, in their homes, before they went into like a crisis mode. And so seeing it from the community aspect where people were asking and asking and asking where they can find support, and then seeing at the other hand what happens when there's that family breakdown and they didn't get the support they needed. So to me, it was like quite a big call to action to do it. And every time I went to work, it kept coming up, like, where can families turn to? And so for me, it was like the longer that I didn't do it, the more stress that became. And I just felt like as a nurse, it was my duty to serve the community that I'm passionate about. And so I wanted to deliver something to those families who are affected by disability to try to avoid them from coming in and seeing me in the emergency department. So for me, it was just reinforced every day at work in the community that this was the right direction for me.
And I hear that thread in all of these stories, sort of a strong connection to these problems. And I think that's really important because social entrepreneurship is not easy work for sure. So hopefully Robin can join us so we can ask kind of 1 or 2 last questions. But in the meantime, rapid fire, I think we're supposed to wrap this up at 3:39, so we might be a couple seconds over, but 30 seconds or less. Sue, we'll start with you. The one thing that would make the biggest impact to your business today, ideally not money, but what might it be?
I guess just community support, more support workers, more families. A lot of families are really quite isolated, especially with COVID. And so there's already these silos that exist for a lot of families with disability. And so we want to reach out to them. We want to give them the support. We don't want them to experience breakdown and be institutionalizing like their child. So if possible, we would love to connect with families, with support workers who are really eager with our mission, and let's get families the support they need where and when they need it. Thanks.
30 seconds on the dot. I'm impressed. Erica, what's the one thing that would make the biggest impact to your business? And that's a hard thing. What's a thing that would make a big impact to your business today?
I would say the marketing side of things. We serve a double-sided market, right? So parents and childcare providers, and being able to really spread awareness, not just here in Calgary, because we've made quite an impact here in Calgary, but be able to go beyond that. So we want to have a national approach right across Canada, and we know that's going to take a lot of effort. And just in the space that we are in today with the pandemic going on, it's been really tough, to have those authentic relationships, right, with parents and childcare providers. So we've got to do things a little bit differently nowadays. And so that's the challenge that we're seeing today.
Thank you. Diana?
For me, it's hiring. I need to hire some more people. Like this week, I was in a crunch because my main helper got sick. And so I ended up doing boxing and shipping and all this stuff that I normally, thankfully, don't have to do anymore. So yeah, I need some more help with that, with marketing, and probably some design.
Wonderful. Hear that, audience? If anyone's out there looking for a job, there might be a fit here. Abdullah.
Yeah, definitely. I think we are currently at a stage where we're starting our clinical trials. So we secured like local clinics. We have NGOs like reaching out, they want to use our technology. So I do believe one of the things that I think would have a high impact on our process, like same as Diana, hiring people. It's some, at the current time, there is competition in the market in terms of hiring talent. So that's there is like so much competition in this field. But I think in our case, like hiring people, mentorship in the field of like regulatory, biomedical sector, I would say this would help a lot, especially like we're planning to finish our clinical studies soon.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Lourdes, you're next on my screen.
You know, for us, I know nothing about farming, but I want to grow our own food or get the food directly from farmers. I think, you know, food sovereignty is the key for this food access piece. I'm looking at right at Victoria. We're seeing, you know, disasters around the world that change the prices of food on a dime, and it's going to get more volatile. And so we need to be able to procure our own food. It's a massive challenge for us right now to make sure that we're getting culturally appropriate food as well as, you know, our basic staples. And so we have to get what we can to these marginalized communities, and the food sovereignty piece is a passion of mine and super important for these communities.
Perfect, thank you. And Robin has just joined us, so I'm gonna kind of finish wrapping this up. And Robin, I'm gonna direct the last question at you. Sean, one thing that would be meaningful to your business?
I think people leveraging the empathy that we can now hold coming out of COVID, that the isolation impacts and mental harm have on people, correlate that to the disability community who have lived isolated for far before and longer than that, and start supporting businesses that prioritize accessibility, barrier-free businesses. And again, it can correlate with local and all of those other things, but I think that's a big impact for us.
Thanks, Sean. And I hear a lot of potential collaboration in this room. Dustin?
Sure. I think some of the biggest ones in our priorities right now is kind of around transparency and education, right, on fast fashion, on the whole industry. Fast fashion really is killing our planet. And for us, one of the projects that we have in the new year is really doing a deep dive, an entire analysis on all of our fibers, all of our materials, so that we can actually come up with an impact scorecard per garment, so on a garment basis. So when a customer orders online, they can actually see the impact that their garment's having, how that is above, you know, industry standard, and on a business perspective, right? If a company is going to choose to replace their traditional supplier with someone that's more socially conscious, they can again get a scorecard to see, you know, here's the 1,000 t-shirts that you've ordered for this event, and here's the impact that you've had by choosing to support a local socially conscious business.
That's wonderful, and congrats on that, Dustin. Nicole, over to you.
Yeah, I think I would probably say ours would be this very similar to Erica's. I think, you know, investment in being able to do a little bit more marketing to widen our reach or expand our reach, certainly beyond just Western Canada, making sure that we can get more of those really impactful stories about the individuals that we know Stars Vigilant has made an impact on. Making sure that we can communicate that and get that information out would be really, really key for us. And then the second part of that is also investment in technology so that we can broaden our reach beyond just, you know, the industry, and probably focus on a business to consumer as well.
Wonderful. Victoria?
All right, I'll try to be fast. Okay, first thing.
We've got some time now.
Okay, well, first thing is everybody, what you can do best is buy local as possible in our province, in our greater city areas. If you can support directly from a farmer, if you have the means to actually connect with one, that's huge for their bottom line, but it also provides you with more nutritious food. It ensures that it's like most likely using regenerative agriculture versus large scale factory farming, monoculture crop farming. So it's just like, it's a better impact on your carbon footprint. Moreover, Lourdes, like, great point. We need better access for our farmers to the consumers. So I might talk with you after this. Also, I think if you guys want to follow us on Instagram and all our social media platforms and just pressure the government, like cannabis production, our newest industry in Canada, the waste byproducts for that could be used in farming situations, whether it's a compost to feed or animal bedding. The accepted method of disposal right now is to mix it on a 1-to-1 ratio with kitty litter, put it in the landfill.
or burn it. So we're supposed to be accomplishing these peace accord agreements for the United Nations and for climate change and everything. And the newest industry in our country isn't doing that. So that's something we can utilize, and also pressuring larger scale food distributors to be more accountable about their waste. Yes, they can compost it, which is great, but I know of a company in Calgary at this moment that's doing over 16,000 pounds of food waste that goes to composting that I'd be willing to eat. It's damaged packaging. It's not something that needs to go in the garbage. So I'd say yes, support your local farmers as much as possible. We're actually going to be starting a new initiative, our holiday gift basket. So it'll be farm products, and then our customers on the brewery side, their products as well. So if you want to support that, that's great. And we're actually going to be trying to accomplish a project in the next 2 years for carbon neutral beef production. So stay tuned for that.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Yeah, again, such an awesome and inspiring group. And Robin, apologies for the kind of glitches in logging in, but glad that you could catch us at the very end here. So we were just sort of talking about what one of those kind of key things, key impacts to your business might be. You know, you could say money, but you know, preferably not. And then just because you didn't have the opportunity to join us, I might also ask, just again, for the folks in the room who might be new to social entrepreneurship, new to thinking about starting a business, maybe kicking it off with, what do you think would have really changed things for you when you first started out? Like environmentally, like the context that you were in, different, you know, what's one lesson that you kind of learned that would have really shifted things or helped you move a little bit faster?
Oh yeah, great question. So to answer your first question, the thing that we are kind of really looking for right now is our pilots with a few organizations. So we are starting our first pilot next week, which I'm really excited about. But we are also looking for 3 more organizations, and for the new product that we are launching, which allows purpose-driven organizations to actually start connecting people in their communities one-on-one, and actually get the data on who's connecting with who and how they can use that data to actually kind of propel that community forward. In terms of my lessons, I started in 2019. And over the time, what I've realized is like raising money for social ventures is hard. Like social ventures traditionally have kind of relied on grants. There have been some really great examples. Benevity, which is a kind of a really great company, has been my North Star when I kind of see at companies where a company actually does social good, is profitable, hires rock stars. But what I kind of wish would change is kind of the lens through which investors look at social impact ventures. Like, I know there is this, a lot of people or investors I talk to have a very short-term outlook on investment, saying how much money will you make next year and how much profit and stuff. And I feel that social ventures take a longer time to kind of be profitable and actually show the returns to the community. So that is something which I learned over the time, and now I'm finally kind of feel that we're getting to that business model where we can kind of demonstrate those returns.
As one of the investors in the room, we're listening. So I think now is the time, Rachelle, I might pass it back to the EMC. Thank you again to the panelists. It's been a fantastic conversation. You do amazing and hard work. And so I'm just grateful to be able to share a stage with you. And then would love to reach out to any of you individually after. And we've got Jane Beesby in the room. Oh, she's listening as well with the Social Enterprise Fund.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jordana, and thank you to the panel members. What a brain, a passion, and creativity trust. Your stories are so amazing. Thank you for sharing them with us today. Now, let me tell you a bit more about what this award is about. What's Next YYC celebrates excellence, best practices, high standards, advances in and/or new knowledge relating to social enterprise in Calgary. Because applicants have to have already won awards or successfully completed a local social enterprise support program. What's Next YYC looks to answer what's next on the journey for these organizations. As such, it is also a celebration of the work of our social entrepreneurship support ecosystem. Now I'll share a little about the judging process for the What's Next YYC Award. There are 2 TRICO jury awards. They were selected by 3 members of the TRICO board, Patrick Chiu, Chris Hoffner, and Dan Overall. Their decisions were based on the quality and innovativeness of the social and entrepreneurial blend, addressing power imbalances that marginalize, momentum, and making the most of the stage that they are at. The Popular Choice Award was selected by you, our audience members, and each recipient will receive $25,000. We are now on our way to share the information you've all been waiting for. Who will win the What's Next YYC prize? I'm pleased to pass it over to Wayne Chiu, founder and CEO of the TRICO Group, who will now present these awards. Wayne, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Is it okay? I can't hear.
Yes, you're good now.
Okay, I'm good. Okay. I like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the participation for this award. I truly enjoyed your storytellings and also your discussion sections. This reminds me a lot about my struggle in my own business. To me, it's always a great learning for me. Every time I go to any presentation or a section like this, I always take away something. I took away your innovative ideas, on the same time, your struggle through your hardship, and you are able to show your resiliency. And I really, really appreciate that my learning today. It is my honor to announce this year's jury prize and the Popular Choice Award for the Next YYC 2021. Again, we have 2 awards on the TRICO Jury Prize. The first one go to aGRO System Inc. And then the second one go to Carrying It Forward. And the popular choice from all the people voting is go to Enable. Congratulations to all of you. And I do hope that you guys able to continue your hard work and continue the good work regarding doing well by doing good in this community. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Wayne, and congratulations to all of the winners. Thank you all so much for joining us in this session. Can you believe it? $75,000 invested into Calgary companies, and you were all part of making that happen. It's so heartening to hear what is happening in Calgary. I'm looking forward to seeing how these companies build our community and all that they accomplish. We're back at it for day 2 of Pop Tomorrow with a great lineup, starting with the collaboration with the Canadian Sustainable Finance Network and a fireside chat with Alex Edmonds, who will talk about the genius of and. So in closing, thank you and have a wonderful evening. Take care, everyone.